Good morning. Oh, somewhere I've got a double. Hold on. Is that it? No. Good morning. Oh, somewhere I have feedback. Do you guys hear the feedback? Good morning. Let me figure this out real fast. Somewhere I have feedback. Oh. Good morning. Let me figure this out real fast. Oh, I'm going to have to close everything, aren't I? Where is it?
You have your stream open somewhere.
I know. Is it feeding through?
Yes.
I don't know where. I'm closing windows.
You have your stream.
Okay. I just killed my slide deck, but it should be better. Hopefully, you guys can still hear me. Let me see if I can get my stream deck. Pasta's going to be joining me in a second. I told him to take a bathroom break. He can take the broadcast chains off for 5 minutes and go potty and get something to eat, stretch his legs. And he will be joining us, so he'll just be popping in on this stream. I think I actually got the Rokfin to go live, and that's probably where the double feed in my ear was coming from. But I'm working on getting my slide deck back up. How is everybody this morning? Did you guys watch AM Wake Up? Great show this morning. Great guests. They always have great shows, great guests, don't they? Let's see. I need here we go. I'm having a rough morning. How about you guys? It's Thursday. It doesn't matter what day it is. I can just have a rough morning, right? Drive. There we go. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I got my deck back up. We're just kind of waiting on Pasta this morning. I figured we'll just get started with some headlines, and then Pasta will come in, and we're going to talk about Gabapentin. I thought that would be a good topic to cover today because so many of us that have been in pain management have been prescribed Gabapentin, and a lot of people are still on Gabapentin. There's been some pretty gnarly lawsuits about lies about Gabapentin. Just kind of stuff that's flown under the radar. I mean, things that I never really heard when I was on Gabapentin about weight gain, even though they tell you weight loss, sexual function. There's all kinds of side effects from Gabapentin. So I want to talk about those and why we're talking about Gabapentin. But I've got today's headlines. I thought we would get started with that. Hopefully I could slide deck. Shout out to Oz, who's sitting in the dentist chair right now. Oh, I feel you, Oz. I'm so sorry. Let's see who's hanging out in the chats. Kate, Gamer. Good morning, Gamer. Got to get some coffee. Go ahead and get some coffee. We're kind of getting a late start this morning. Hopefully my sound's not messed up. Let's see. I probably need to re-grab my screen because I want the sound to be there and I don't want it to be messed up. You guys can't hear me at all? Now you can hear me. You should have been able to hear me. Okay. That's okay. Everybody's struggling and slow today. I know that AM Wake Up just finished up and Pasta will be on his way in. I'm just making sure I'm actually live everywhere that I'm supposed to be live. Today we are live on Twitch, Rumble, 2 YouTubes, my YouTube and the Beauty and the Boomer YouTube. And of course, Rokfin. We love our Rokfiners. I think the Rokfin's good. It's the first time I actually got the Rokfin to go by myself, if it's actually working. Come on, Rokfin. Oh, it looks like we're live on Rokfin. Good morning, Rokfiners. Hi, Ian. Oh, I got feedback over here too. No matter how prepared I am, I always get stomped by technology. Fred Edwards can hear you, Chanda. You can barely hear me. I know my mic was still down. I'm telling you, I've had a rough morning. I didn't sleep well, got up super early, just haven't felt that great today. Doing the super hot flashes again. So we'll make it through the day. Pasta will be on his way shortly. So let's go ahead and get started today. Fair use. Everything we talk about is fair use. And I always ask you to go form your own opinions, go do your own research. That's what it's about, is research, right? And yeah, don't just take it from somebody that you see on social media. Here's a little song I wrote called "If You're Not on a Government Watch List by Now, You Should Be Ashamed of Yourself." I still love that. Of course, this is Welcome to the Trailer Park. This is where I would normally have my PayPal QR code, but we ain't doing PayPal anymore because they lost their damn minds last week trying to say they're going to fine people and shit. No. It's bad enough that you have control and can come in and just shut our accounts down whenever you want. So no, we've decided to dump any of those controlling financial institutions. So you can give, send, go us at Beauty and the Boomer, or of course we have the Cash App. I am Cash or Money Symbol Trailer Park Pundit, and I think there's some stuff down in the description below on if you want to help the channel out. Let's see. Okay, well, we have to talk about this, right? This is the first thing I saw when I woke up. British Prime Minister Liv Truss just announced resignation as a new PM. New PM will be elected sometime this week, right? That was 45 days. And so, of course, I had to tweet out, damn, that was quick. Wish we had that kind of turnover in the US. Can you imagine if we could get rid of, again, these mistakes in 45 days? Oh, my God, it would change the whole thing, right? It would change it all. Who had Liz Truss for 45 days? That's a great meme. I already see some great memes dropping out there. I got to what did they have on her? I mean, once you get power, you don't let go of power. So I'm kind of confused at what the hell scared her so bad that she stepped down so quickly. Just a thought. It's almost like somebody had leverage on her. I don't know. Sounds like it to me. But it would be great if we could just dump our presidents, our controllers in 45 days. That'd be lovely. Lovely, lovely. Anybody see any pasta signs? No, I don't. Oh, let's talk about Biden. The reality of Joe Biden and the Democrats being in charge is airline fares are up to 42.9%. 42.9%. And I know this as a fact because I flew to DC 2 years ago and our tickets were double the price going in this time. Eggs are up 30.5%. I reported that to you a year ago and told you that they were going to double. Gas is up 18.2% and still climbing, right? I was shocked last time I was at the pump. Like, what? Why is this shit still going up? Electricity is up 15.5%. I brought a report on Tuesday that said overall it'll be up at over 11% this winter. So is that 11 with the 15? Possibly could be, right? It's kind of scary. Milk is up 15.2%. It's all the hormones they put in it. Groceries are up 13%. Baby food is up 11.8%. And meat and poultry and fish are up 7.7%. Oh my God. How are we going to make it through the winter, guys? Oh my God. Yeah. Yay, my internet's working. Chili, I'm so happy your internet's working. Let's shout out the chat. You guys are filing in. We're waiting for Mr. Pasta to show up. So Lazy Quackhole, welcome. My doctors were giving me Gabapentin for pain after an accident, but I stopped taking it and noticed no difference. Oh, well, you're one of the lucky ones. If you know what? When I came off it, I didn't notice a difference either, but I was such a bad opiate addict, it probably wouldn't have mattered. Gamer, yeah, we're going to talk about Gabapentin at the end of the show. That's where we do our To Hell and Back segments on Thursday, and that's just a normal thing we're going to start doing now. Anthony, welcome, Anthony. I got something on the deck that you might have heard about. Red Cloud, hi Red Cloud. Gamer. I got some gamers hanging out in here because I know It's Cold Fusion's hanging out in here too. Welcome all the gamers. Uncle Warren, Extra Bola, welcome. Good morning. Kate, I still haven't got to listen to Kate's radio show. Kashami Kate does a radio show. Please send me a link because I had a link the other day and then it didn't work or something, or I lost it. I definitely want to hear that. I love hearing your guys' work and what you guys are working on. Lizzie's hanging out over on the Rokfin. I was going to wear my Julian Assange shirt, but the hot flashes I've been suffering, I just burst into flames on air. So it has to be really cold, which it actually is cold in the Northwest today. First time in about, 4 months. We're having a very unusual autumn. And I've been kind of tracking the weather. Ryan Hall, y'all, he's done a really great breakdown of what's coming this winter for whatever part of the country that you're in. It's going to be a scary winter for all of us. So, I take Gabapentin for pain. So many of us did, and so many of us do. And that's why I wanted to talk about it today, because I talk about all the opiates and the benzoids and the Xanax and all of that. But there's a whole bunch of meds out there that they've been prescribing that they put out there for pain, right? And a lot of us are taking them. Do you know that Gabapentin is the #1 prescribed pain medication in the country right now, above any of the opiates? Isn't that shocking? I was shocked when I read that yesterday. Like, oh, well, that makes sense. So they're kind of using it as the cure-all now. Let's see. What Jilly say? Vitamin K shots have polysorbate 80. Others have aluminum. Always insist on reading labels. Yes, I took vitamin K shots for a long time because I'm very anemic, obviously. Look at how white I am. But I didn't know that, and that's scary. But since I stopped Big Pharma 10 years ago, it's almost 10 years now that I've completely just cut Big Pharma off. Eating healthy is brought me my vitamin K's up, I'm assuming, because I don't go in and have any labs done. I figure if I get sick enough to need labs, well, then I'll go. But till then, I'm just going to try to take care of myself with, homeopathic, holistic, common sense type of treatments. I'm done going to Big Pharma and begging for them to poison me. And I'm not saying that you guys are poisoned. Those are your choices. I grew up in a home with my mother was a RN nurse. I was handed pharmaceuticals from the time I was probably 5 years old on. I always just assumed that was the answer to everything. And I went down a very long and dark path with Big Pharma. And I got so sick, I almost died. I always say Big Pharma tried to kill me. And it wasn't just opiates. It was everything they were prescribing to me, right? So yeah, we're going to get into that. I've been on GABA for 15 years. Oh, Shelly, for fibro. Yeah. And some people it works great for, like in Lyrica. Lyrica is in the same classification of drugs as Gabapentin. I know a lot of people, my mother had MS. She was on Lyrica for years. So Lyrica, Gabapentin, they do help some people. But coming off of them isn't as easy as everybody thinks, and doctors are starting to wake up to that. So yeah, we're going to get into that. Hopefully Potts will come along. Maybe he hasn't forgot that he's doing a show. Sometimes you never know with him. Let's laugh at Joe a little bit.
Just hoping to clarify for midterm voters, top domestic issue, inflation or abortion.
All important. Unlike you, there's no one thing. There's no one thing.
This is a New York Times poll, brand new here, asking voters what's the top issue on your mind this election. I haven't seen it this dramatic in a poll. Add the economy and inflation together. That is 44%. We're getting close to half of all respondents in this poll saying that's their top issue. Nothing else even cracks 10% right now. And we've talked about the Republicans when it comes to the economy and inflation having a pretty clear advantage in the polls.
There's multiple issues, and they're all important.
It's the economy, stupid.
It's the economy, stupid. For me, I think there's two issues, right? It's his handling of the Ukraine, and it's the economy. For me, those are the deciding factors. If you're one of the people that's out there voting for more funding to the Ukraine, no, I will not cast a vote for you at all. This is insane. And the fact that, it's multiples, they keep wanting to put it on abortion, but it is not abortion. There's Pasta. Yay, Pasta's joining us. Good morning. Let's see if I can get in here. How you doing?
To get educated.
You came to get educated?
Educated by you about.
Well, you came to the wrong place.
That's bullshit. If I'm going to speak to somebody about a drug other than fentanyl that's out there, I know it's going to be my girl Chanda-Masta who's going to educate me on stuff. Which, by the way, a lot of people who watched one of our first couple episodes of The Hell and Back, they came to us and they're like, "Listen, is this fentanyl thing like a revenge thing for the Chinese?" Because when I watched yours and Chanda-Masta's thing on the opium wars, like myself, thought that the war was fought over opium. It wasn't. It was fought over the right to sell opium to a country where the emperor didn't want it hurting his people. You saw what it is.
Yeah.
And they actually went to war so they can distribute this shit and put it on the masses of people. So a lot of people have come to me and said, well, what's going on today? And in my last election integrity event, Shanda, they pretty much said Laura Logan was there, and they had this other national security expert who used to work for the Border Patrol. And this the topic what they were talking about, and I don't know why it was brought into an election.
Love the Border Patrol.
Integrity post. He was an ex-border he was an ex-border agent. Like
I deal with a lot of them because I live in a border town. So yeah.
Exactly, right? So this is the whole thing that we're being invaded from the global south. Not talking about why they're coming, but they're bringing fentanyl up, and pretty much the Chinese have now completely outsourced it to the cartels. What is your thought on that?
We've talked about that a couple of times since I brought back To Hell and Back. Okay, so here's what's going on: is during COVID, it completely changed.
Is this your feed that's really shaky? Or is it mine? Because you're coming in and out, you're blurry and stuff.
Oh no, my camera has been not keeping up with me, so I'll try to hold still. I've got a new camera, but I look green because of my blonde hair.
No, it's like you're literally freezing in where I'm at. Might
be your internet because I seem to be okay.
No, right now I'm running at a very strong internet. So
Could be, yeah, I don't know.
let me
never
try
know.
doing this really quick. You still there?
Yeah. Shannon's blurry. Everybody's saying it's me, so it must be my internet.
Your internet sucks.
Dude, tell me about it. I pay for the best that I can get, and it's just shit. And like
What
3
is it?
times a day, it just goes out. Oh, it used to be Wave, but now they've got some new owner, Astound or some shit.
And I bet you
Yeah,
you're
just-
hard lined in though, of course.
Oh, well, of course I'm hardline. Come on.
That's Fiorella would say, of course I'm hard lined in. So
Come on, I'm hardlined in. So to get back to your question, hopefully I won't cut out too bad.
yeah.
It changed during COVID, Pasta, and the chemicals that were coming over from China, they couldn't get them over here anymore, right? And so what they did was they sold the recipe to the cartels for the base chemicals in fentanyl. But the base chemicals in fentanyl can be a couple of different things. And that's what we're seeing happen now. Anybody can order from these companies in China. And that's why we're getting benzo dope and trank dope, because they're making it different than what fentanyl was 2 years ago, because they can manufacture it here. It's called bathtub fentanyl. They
In
can
the
make
States?
Yes, in the United States. So now you can make fentanyl in your bathtub. You can order the chemicals from China, from the big, distribution companies there, and they're legal because they're for veterinary use or they're for other use. So that's what's happening. It's changed because of COVID.
So what is the Chinese approach to it though, in your personal opinion? First of all, I don't think it was the actual CCP. I think it was just companies that existed within the CCP, within their government, that were just, black market companies like we have here, people looking to make a buck. Because I don't think the Chinese would take a chance and allow that shit to be manufactured in the States, even if it was meant to be sold mainly in the United States.
They shut it down. They made it illegal. As soon as Trump pushed back on them and said enough with the goddamn fentanyl, they said, okay. And they made it illegal. So that's when, it changed. That supply and demand. Okay, it's not there anymore. So let's change the compounds that we're putting in fentanyl. But I don't think China did this intentionally. Did these companies? Oh, hell yeah. That's the open capitalistic markets that, we play in. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of people who think that, China wants to destroy the United States from the inside. And there's a lot of the election people. I go, listen, the majority of people that I speak in front of and that I will be speaking in front of on the 29th believe that China is pulling the strings. Even the people who are running the event, Patrick Burns, part of his demonstration is believing that China is pulling the strings at the end of the day. I do not. And there's a lot of people who think that the fentanyl thing is really done by the Chinese, not as a way as a revenge, but as a way of crushing the hegemony from the inside. Allow the people to kill themselves. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we already have a system in which the doctors, which we talked about to hell and back for many weeks, about over a year, is that we have a system where they hand out these drugs like it's candy. They don't care about, there's no repercussions for the doctors. There's only dollars and cents. So why not play ball? And China, the powers that be, could use that to their advantage. So, I mean, there's that talk.
Most of the pharmaceuticals that are taken in the United States that are prescribed by Big Pharma are manufactured in China. So this one drug, we're going to single it out and say, okay, they're trying to take our empire down.
Well, this drug is different. This drug is, Tom Petty thought he was getting medication for his back. Same with Prince. And next thing you know, along with Mac Miller, they're no longer here.
Yeah.
The fentanyl deaths went through the fucking roof during the COVID, by the way, over 100,000. Remember, we talked about this. Something we hoped we were wrong on. It was already topping over 120. And that's, I mean, please, that's a safe conservative number.
Yeah, very conservative number. I mean, a lot of these numbers don't get recorded. But, what I've been reporting in the last 6 weeks is how much fentanyl is changing, Pasta. Fentanyl that kills you, which is 50 times stronger than morphine, and that you can be brought back with Narcan, right? They put that stuff up your nose. If you're overdosing, you can come back. Well, the way that they're making the fentanyl now and how they're cutting it, they're cutting it with, what is it called? Xylazine. And it's a horse tranquilizer. And so, or benzoids, which is, Valiums and Xanax and stuff like that. You don't come back when you overdose on these new, what they're called as poly drugs or benzo dope or trank dope, you don't come back. And it's very prevalent. It's taking over Philadelphia. So Kensington Avenue, most of the people you see on Kensington Avenue are not just high on fentanyl. They're high on this new benzo dope and trank dope. So police officers and first responders are reporting that they're getting more overdoses because they can't bring people back like they were with the Narcan because it's not on the same receptor. Benzos and these tranquilizers don't affect the same receptor in your brain, so therefore the Narcan's not working, and it's starting to move. It was prevalent in Philly the last six months.
What's it called?
It's called benzo dope or
Benzo
trank dope. Benzo dope or trank dope.
Poly. When you say poly, meaning coming from a lab, right?
Poly means that it's being made. Yeah. So they just call them poly drugs. They just do a wide swath of poly drugs. And now they're showing up in DC. I brought a report last week where DC labs are starting to find it more and more in the fentanyl. So basically the fentanyl supply is being cut with these other drugs now. So it used to just be fentanyl for the last 3-4 years. That was what was really prevalent in these areas. And now it's changing. And it's because of access, because of COVID. The access to these base chemicals to make fentanyl, which was the cartels that were making it and sending it in, changed. So now it's changed so much that the cartels can just make whatever they want, or bathtub fentanyl can be made here in the U.S.
What is this? Is it still the same stepping stone to get to these poly drugs? I mean, is it?
Oh, it's so easy.
So it's a person who's already been either had their play with opioids or other benzos and whatnot that have been prescribed for certain reasons, and then it's easy for them to segue into these drugs. Or is this something that somebody can go, hey man, I'm high, let's cut up one of these things and snort it? I mean, where are we at with this particular drug?
So what's happening is it's just in the supply. So suppliers, drug dealers are cutting their fentanyl with these drugs, much like we saw, cocaine cut in the 80s and 90s. So they're cutting the fentanyl with it, and then they're just putting it out. So people unknowingly are getting a hold of this stuff. And Pasta, here's the thing. It tears the body down, much like crocodile. Do you remember what crocodile was? That terrible drug out of Russia a couple of years ago that was flesh eating. Well, these drugs, these trank drugs that they're cutting the fentanyl with, literally eats your skin off your bones. Some of the videos that I have brought over the last couple of weeks, I mean, I had to put viewer discretions on them. They're so bad. And this is happening here in the United States, in Philadelphia, in Washington, D.C., and it literally is the whole supply. So these young kids, 18, 19, they get a pill. They think they're just snorting a regular pill. They're snorting these drugs and then that leads to, intravenous addiction too. So it's so easy for anybody to get this stuff and get sucked into the addiction of it.
So it's like, okay, so I'm a drug dealer, and now there's a new recipe out there. I got a bunch of fentanyl. I take all these other new drugs and I kind of cut the fentanyl, and I take all my pills, I crush them, I add all these other things, and I got more pills now. And I hit the streets with these things. That's what's going on. And now they're doing that within the states because they just got to order these other legal chemicals, I guess, that are legal from China. Are they on list yet? Or
Look at that. So
yeah.
Vice News, as much as I can't stand Vice, they have a reporter who's really doing a good job at covering this. And she got on the phone a couple of months ago and she called and ordered a bunch of these chemicals to see how easy it was to get them out of China. So she just gets a number off the internet, calls. It's obviously she's talking to somebody in China or, messaging back and forth. She asks about the base chemicals in fentanyl and they say, no, we can't sell that stuff to you legally anymore. She says, well, what else do you got? They list her a bunch of stuff. Oh, here, we can send you this, this, and this instead. I mean, there is nothing, no hoops to jump through. You want to order it? You just find the number, call and order it. Once you pay them, they ship it. That's how easy it is.
It's crazy. Like the other day, I think there was Amazon was selling euthanasia kits of sorts or stuff you can buy to put yourself to sleep forever, and also a little handbook with it too as well. It's crazy that you can do anything and order it offline. Has the FDA or the United or American government flagged these drugs yet? Are they onto this? What's
a couple of them? Yes. This xylazine, I think it's called xylazine. I've brought the reports on it in the past. That one, it's not regulated because it's a veterinarian drug. So a lot of these are veterinarian drugs. And so the FDA didn't
Special
even
K
know
style.
about them. Yeah.
It was in Special K, like a cat tranquilizer. What was
That was that
not
Mau
Special
Mau?
K.
I brought a report on Mau Mau last week.
No,
It was terrible.
there's a cat tranquilizer we used to get a hold of, and
Yeah.
used to sniff that shit.
Well, Big Pharma
Not
is
me,
getting
but my
rich.
friends, obviously. No.
Obviously, Big Pharma is getting rich catering to animals now. I didn't know this was even a thing. So if you got money and your dog is limping around, take him to the vet. Your dog can get tramadol. Your dog can get gabapentin. I mean, they're prescribing the same pharmaceuticals for the same issues that we have to animals. But because they come through the pharmaceutical side, they're not regulated like they are for human consumption. So they're just starting to catch up. I saw last week or the week before the FDA put out a warning about, be on the lookout for these things. But, it's always a pendulum swing, it happens and then there's a reaction. So it'll take a little bit.
Can I get a share screen really quick? Because I mean, I think while we're talking about this, I think it's in the big news, and I don't want to get too far off topic. So please rustle me back in if need be. But
there you go.
So we got sorry, but get that out of there. My bad. So we got this going on, Chanda. I don't know if you saw it. This is the big news. FDA authorizes first COVID-19 vaccines for infants. And now they've put it on the protocol. They voted yesterday 15-0 to make child vaccines the protocol.
Yeah, I saw the name. If you go to Amber King, Roar Media, the list of asshats that voted for this shit is up.
Yeah.
They're pure evil. It's pure evil. Yeah, you guys covered it this morning. You did a great job on it. I think I have a couple of COVID things maybe at the end of the deck, but this is insanity. It's insanity. You can't. How many small children have perished because of this? I mean, it's such a threat. I find it the opposite. It's the actual reverse, right? We're on a couple of YouTube channels, so I got to be careful.
Oh yeah, be careful, because I didn't want to even bust out the way the propaganda is still the same, the language is still the same, the rhetoric is still the same. Nothing has changed. They moved it into the background recently, right? They put the Ukraine war out there for people to be distracted with.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, all the protocols, all the laws are still being pushed through. Other countries, the WHO, they haven't stopped with the international health regulations and pushing a treaty now, in which they got the basis for the treaty down. And it's more of the same. It's more dictatorship in the name of health. And when I talk about, they still got the same language, Chanda. Look at this right here. And this is the review journal, the RJ that I read, but right off the bat.
Because you're a newspaper guy. I know.
I am a newspaper guy, in case your audience.
In case you guys didn't know, Foss is a newspaper guy.
And I'm a civil liberties guy, and I'm also 61% Southern Italian. COVID-19 linked in pregnancy-related death. So no matter what, they're going to sit there with a straight face. The pharmaceutical companies, they get all the cover provided to them by the mainstream media, because as we know, they're sponsored by Pfizer, sponsored by Moderna, sponsored by Raytheon, all these companies. And instead of kind of looking at what the damages could be done from certain types of prophylactic treatment, not saying the word, the boop is what we refer to, they still want you to believe that it's the COVID-19 itself.
Oh, and they're going to ramp that up. So we know that, there's a couple of new strains they've been rumbling about, right? I mean, American mainstream press is talking shit about a Boston University. Come on, that don't happen unless they want it to happen. And so I think as we come into winter, they're going to ramp up the fear, because fear drives everything. Fear has drove everything for the last 3 years, right? And so, you guys get ready. It's going to get much worse. I think more lockdowns are coming. They've got to try to get us under control.
Even though the studies with the lockdowns coming out that people still want to ignore. And then if you go to independent media, the same people that were saying the bullshit before, even with the new VAERS numbers coming out, and if you look at the VAERS numbers, they're just off the charts. And the VAERS numbers are supposed to be at best 34% underreported at best.
Yeah, at best, right?
According to the CDC, that's their numbers, not ours.
Yeah,
theirs.
Right.
it's still crazily off the fucking charts compared to any boop boop program we've had that they would immediately shut it down. They're still going for it. And what does Joe Biden tell you in the case of a hurricane, Shanda?
You better go get one. Go get your booster. I've brought a couple of other stories for us to talk about, and then we're going to get into Gabapentin because a lot of people are here wanting to know about Gabapentin because a lot of people take Gabapentin.
I want to know about it.
But I wanted to talk about this. So this is an ABC news producer disappears after the FBI raid on his Arlington home. So Emmy Award-winning Ward producer James Gordon Meek had his home raided by the FBI. His colleagues say that they haven't seen him since. So this was in April. So in April, they raid his home. And since that morning, there's never been a tweet from him. He hasn't shown up for work. And it's October, almost the end of October, and people are starting to question where this guy is. Now, Pasta, does the FBI have him at some black site, off-site, or is the FBI in the business of just shutting people up now?
No. I mean, they might have him out of some black side. I mean, if he's a smart journalist, and letting know anybody who's in journalism right nowadays will probably back up their stuff with trusted hands and trusted people. So what has he got, right? I mean, this guy was doing a book on what? The handling of Afghanistan?
Afghanistan, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and we can just imagine.
And he works for ABC, so we know he's probably not talking any real shit about anybody.
Yeah. I mean, or he was one of those guys who got through and ABC kind of flagged him and told the FBI, like, this guy's a little bit rogue.
Oh, maybe.
Who knows what the case is? We don't know, right? But how much fraud and fake and bullshit went through, how much freaking corruption of money ran through Afghanistan. I mean, it was a multi-trillion-dollar business of all this money going through there, and it went into a lot of people's hands. So maybe there's some receipts. We don't know.
Well, thank God they have the Ukraine now, right? Isn't it convenient that they lost Afghanistan? Now they have Ukraine. So,
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they were making these plans in Ukraine for what? Like since 2014, they started amping, let's get our dirty hands in there. Nancy Pelosi with her son, Paul Pelosi. Who, by the way, when she went to Taiwan, Paul Jr. showed up with her.
He had to tag along.
So, I mean, what's going on over there is probably going on over here.
Can I tell you that Paul Pelosi is a Kratom lobbyist? Did you know this?
It doesn't surprise me.
Okay, so yeah, right.
It doesn't surprise me, and I think it's phoniness because
it is.
Because her daughter, Christine, is supposedly an election integrity activist until she's shut up now.
So since I got you here, Pasta, I had to throw a couple of stories on the deck because I want your opinion on them. I don't get a lot of time to chat with you other than a few quick phone calls here and there. So I had to bring the Kevin Spacey. Of course, Kevin Spacey is on trial, civil trial for it's a federal case. And he came out 2 days ago in trial saying the reason he is the way he is because his dad's a Nazi. So let's hear this little clip real fast, and then I want your opinion on this. Oh, come on, play.
Kevin Spacey took the stand today at his civil sexual assault trial, and it was, well, interesting. When as part of his defense, he testified that his father was an abusive neo-Nazi. Stephen Fabian has more.
Disturbing revelations from Kevin Spacey about his troubled family life as he takes the stand today in his sexual assault trial. My father was a white supremacist and neo-Nazi. I have never talked about these things publicly, ever, Spacey testified. Kevin Spacey made the shocking claims in Manhattan federal court. He also said his father would yell at him about his sexual orientation. My father used to yell at me about the idea I might be gay. He would scream at me, "Don't be a blank." This is the only known photo of Spacey's father, Thomas Jeffrey Fowler, and that mustache sure makes him look like Hitler.
Oh, come
Spacey's older brother has also claimed their father was a Nazi, and in 2019 spoke out against Spacey.
My brother is a sick man, and unfortunately, the man needs to go to jail for what he's done.
Spacey is being sued by actor Anthony Rapp, who alleges that at a party in New York in 1986, when he was just 14, Spacey scooped him up and laid on top of him on a bed before he was able to wriggle free. Rapp is best known for his role in Rent and Star Trek Discovery.
At the end of the day, this case is really going to boil down to who the jury believes. There were no witnesses to what actually happened.
Spacey's denied any wrongdoing. He also faces a federal trial next year.
I think you might have to mute yourself next time because you might have an echo.
Do I have an echo? It wouldn't surprise me. I've had all kinds of issues this morning.
Yeah,
So
when you play those videos, you gotta mute yourself, and then it's weird, and you can't.
yeah,
talk.
that is weird because it's in my earbuds. But yeah, no, you're right. I probably should. Sometimes it does that. Sometimes it doesn't. So
It's hit or miss.
we hear Ghislaine is on the witness list, and that there is a lot of back and forth between the attorneys trying to limit what she's allowed to say. Of course, there was the interview that was dropped earlier this week, her first jailhouse interview, which we're still waiting for more to come from Paramount. And what do you think of this? I mean, 1986, and he didn't actually do anything to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I'm looking at it all angles. First of all, what is he going to be doing when he comes out there talking for Hollywood, right? So Kevin Spacey is one of Hollywood's cucks. You know, he'll do whatever they say, whatever he wants to put out there. They still have their plan is to still make, you know, Putin look like a Nazi and whatnot and awful, and still just, you know, use any type of culture or identity politics they can to kind of sway things. But then there's also this whole part when I'm like, man, he's just making himself out to be the victim, and he knows whatever's gonna happen. So I mean, it just seems like it's all part of the theater that we watch and we look at and stuff. Like at the end of the day, you know, no matter what, it's like that one announcer said, there's no witnesses, so this is gonna come down to who the jury believes. So
you know, there's a bunch of cases like this because so the reason that Anthony Rapp could bring this case is because there is it's called the child something law. I had it wrote down, but you can only use it till you're 55 years old. So basically, he's running out of time to file the charges against Spacey because he's aging out, right? So anybody up until the age of 55 in New York can bring an accuser, you know, can accuse somebody, and so. When you look at Kevin Spacey's previous cases, right, we had one that died of cancer, and then there was a civil case that he paid out. But all of these accusations are about groping, and I don't see them outright being about SA. Now, Kevin has a future trial coming up, a criminal trial in the UK, where 3 accusers actually do have some pretty legitimate.
And the word on Hollywood is that he's always been a groper and kind of like just, you know, making like, you know, finding what did somebody say that? And then this was just an accusation that he found like extras to do what he want, you know, play with some of them, and they would, you know, feel obligated to because they're trying to make it in Hollywood, and Harvey Weinstein can do it, and so can Kevin Spacey, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Want a line, buddy?
Yeah, and I see everybody in the chats talking about their favorite movies of Kevin Spacey. Pay It Forward was great. You know, American Beauty. Yeah, there is no denying that Spacey is a phenomenal actor. I mean, House of Cards. God, that just laid it out there in our faces. Yes, I know. Just so, you know, will he come back? I predicted 2 years ago that Kevin Spacey would survive this, and he will come back. He is catered to by the oligarchs, by the elite Hollywood. This UK trial, he is beloved in the UK. I mean, I think he's been knighted. Isn't he a damn sir over there? I see him coming back from this.
Everything that's happening, right? Like he played the president, and he's now being accused of being a groper for groping children and whatnot. It just seems all too convenient. Like it's just like this, you know, what's the word? Ritual bullshit.
Yes, ritual abuse.
Putting right out in front of us, in front of the American people, so we have to see it, and then, you know, they're then cleansed of their any responsibility because they told us and they showed us, and they let us know. I mean, Kevin Spacey's groping children. So was the United States president. He was playing the president.
Yeah. He knows how to play that powerful character that can do what they want,
just
right?
Too coincidental. Just too
King of pedophile, Knights of pedophiles, Chili. I agree. So
too coincidental.
Too coincidental. We're starting to hear a lot more rumblings about like Lord Mountbatten and people that like Jason Burmis and Jamie Deluxe were giving us the lowdown on years ago, right? None of this is news to any of us because we knew all this, you know, thanks to some great reporting from people like that. So I had to bring this story because I've been following it for everybody. This is the Stockton serial killer, but guess what? He might be a Chicago serial killer too. We follow a lot of serial killers on this channel. So I'm going to mute, see if that helps.
Got it.
Well, the alleged Stockton serial killer made his first court appearance this afternoon. Wesley Brownlee was arraigned on murder charges. 3 of the 6 murders he's accused of happened within a mile and a half of his Stockton home, 2 in August and 1 in July. The 43-year-old Brownlee does have a criminal history. Our affiliate sister station in Sacramento is digging deeper into his history with police.
Well, he does have a criminal history, but it appears to be nonviolent. Records indicate he had a misdemeanor DUI in 2009 and a felony possession of cocaine in 2017. There are also several traffic infractions. In 2017, he was cited for failure to obey a traffic control device in Nevada, and in 2019 for failure to stop at a port of entry in Arizona. There were 2 other traffic citations in 2021 and 2022. Now, records reveal Brownlee recently formed a single-member LLC called Solid Blue Transport. Interestingly, it's incorporated in Indiana with the principal office address listed at Brownlee's home in Stockton. And public records also indicate several possible relatives in Chicago. We're in the process of confirming that now, but of course, that would be significant because there's been speculation that the suspected Stockton serial killer, seen here in video on the left, is the same man suspected of very similar shootings in Chicago back in 2018. That suspect seen here on the right. Now, police say there's still no evidence to link the two, but Stockton and Chicago authorities tell us they are still in close contact.
So I've been following that story for a couple of weeks now. When they were trying to catch him, all they had was some video footage of him. But right now with everything that we've seen happen, especially in light of COVID, I think the amount of predators and serial killers working the United States has climbed, and I think we're going to start seeing that. I mean, we're starting to hear reports of serial killers working in Texas, in Houston, in Seattle, in Chicago. I mean, it's mind blowing.
But what is this? Do they have the goods on this guy right now in Stockton? They
won't say, especially,
they're still talking about linking it to Chicago. Was he suspected to go to Chicago? We don't know.
He lived in Chicago at the time, and then he relocated to Stockton. We know serial killers have done that in the past. They get too hot in one area, they'll move to another area. Shooting them, just random shootings at like 4 o'clock in the morning. A couple of people escaped him. I mean, this one's kind of weird. It's not sexually driven, which is a lot of serial killers. This one is just random acts of violence, much like the Zodiac killer, where he just comes out and he just wants to shoot you.
Gotcha.
Very crazy. Okay, so next story. This one, okay, Pasta, you travel a lot.
Stockton, by the way. I'm staying out of Stockton for a little while.
Stay out of Stockton for a while. Yeah. But you travel a lot, so I want your opinion on this. So, those stupid little scooters that you see in every town?
Yeah.
That you can rent, right? Makes it fast to get across. They're all over in DC. They're everywhere I go. I see them.
Birds.
Well, okay, here's the problem. People are throwing them into lakes and ponds and whatnot. So they've come up with a way to stop that, and it's called geofencing. Now, my question is, if they can geofence these scooters, they can geofence us. So let's just watch that. I think this is like a minute clip.
Another big story we're following at 11 o'clock. When it comes to electric scooters, I mean, we've seen them all across the city. Over the years, they have created a bit of chaos at the Inner Harbor, piling up in the water there. But there's soon going to be a solution to that. WJZ, live at 11 o'clock, Kelsey Kushner at the Inner Harbor with the plan to keep these scooters out of the water and back on the sidewalk. Kels.
Yeah, Rick. Well, the DOT says that they have been fishing out dozens of these scooters from the Inner Harbor just this week. And they say to stop that problem, they're going to be using geofencing to try to keep these scooters away from the water.
Electric scooters spotted all over Baltimore City, creating an easy commute for some.
I think they're pretty fun. It makes it easy to get around places pretty fast.
And an eyesore for others.
It's kind of a shame.
E-scooters first charged up in Baltimore back in 2019, soon after the issue of vandalizing them and improperly discarding them became an issue, a problem going beyond Charm City.
I think it's a little messed up. It's definitely a waste of money, and I guess I don't really understand why they would do it.
Other cities across the country like Tampa and Austin are now fishing out electric scooters from their waters.
To me, that's honestly kind of just shocking because, I don't know, they're a very convenient thing, and I know like sometimes it's like one person can ruin it for everyone.
But after years of pileups like this one, Baltimore's Department of Transportation says they now have a solution: geofencing the area. This will allow the department to set up no park zones using a virtual perimeter around the Inner Harbor, blocking riders from ending their rides within these highlighted areas.
These scooters are like litter.
Something people in the city say is needed.
Which is a shame because tourist areas are where they're needed. I mean, that's how people get around that don't have a car or don't have other form of transportation.
Now, in
I thought
addition
that
to
had
the
a cut in it. Damn
geofencing,
it.
the city has also set up parking zones like this one here. That way they can try to keep some of the...
Okay, I had a cut in it, but so what do you think, Fosta? Are they going to use geofencing on all of us?
I mean, if they can eventually, I don't know. I mean, it's just it's weird because, like, first of all, who's throwing him in the water, right? Like, who the hell is doing that? It's like, I think it's people who want them to go away, so they're purposely doing that and sabotaging them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think and stuff. But it's just, it sucks too for those people who do use them for transportation. I was in Pasadena and I used to like the bikes, like just the mountain bikes you can rent, and you could
Yeah.
take one location, put it into another, and put it in there. Well, they had issues with the same thing over there, so they got rid of them. So
Yeah.
But they have this technology. They'll eventually use it. You know, I think when we get the hovercraft, Chanda, that's when they'll have the
Well, can't they use it on your smart car? All these people that are getting smart cars, can there be geofencing? Okay, you're not allowed to drive past this point anymore. I mean, that's what we're buying into with these smart cars.
I think with the whole QR codes, we're starting to buy in that you can't drive anything if you don't have your social credit score in the right way. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's all part of the big picture of, yeah, we're building our own prison here.
So, okay, I brought a story that kind of follows up on a story that you guys were talking about this morning, and that is the rising cost of diesel. With that, what that implications are is transportation of our goods is going to come to a grinding halt, and things are going to be fucking expensive, right? Well, nobody's talking about this story, and that is that the Mississippi River is dried up in some places, and we've got a shit ton of barges backed up that can't go through to deliver goods. So I want your opinion on that. I think this is a minute. We'll play it.
You got it.
Dabu 7. Gotta love Dabu 7.
This is Dabu 7. Supply chains across the Midwest facing significant constraints here as a portion of the Mississippi River is closed again. It is sitting at a record level. This is devastating, and this is all part of tearing this country apart right in front of your face by design. And here we have something we've warned about for a long time now catching up to folks here in this country that didn't want to think that it could happen to them. Every time we'd bring up the Mississippi River, so many people would say it'd be decades before that ever happened. Well, here it is. And it's because it's by design. None of this is natural. You're looking at an image here of the Mississippi River. This is about 125 miles northeast of Memphis. This is near Hickman, Kentucky. Very near the keyhole that I always talk about, the New Madrid. Very near that area. There's a big sandbar called the New Madrid sandbar that's on the northwest side of that keyhole. And that whole area looks like this. Depleted, barges and boats getting stuck. So now the U.S. Coast Guard saying that 3 vessels and 51 barges were waiting in line at Hickman, waiting for the water to come up. In Memphis, the waters have reached negative 10.79 feet and continue to decline, sitting at record low levels. And when it comes to what the Army Corps of Engineers are having to do down outside of New Orleans, they are literally having to put up a 1,500-foot wide levee to keep salt water out of the drinking water. That's right. The Mississippi River is so low that salt water is starting to backfeed into the river, and this is going to devastate the ecosystem. Everyone's just going about their merry way, acting like none of this is happening, and it's ridiculous. We've got huge stuff happening in this country, and it's tearing this country apart. So Midwest, East Coast, it's now here. As soon as this Mississippi runs dry, it is game over completely. We're just about there. It could be any week. Join me for the live streams over on Dabu777, and also follow me on Parler and Twitter. You'll find.
Okay, so Pasta, how fucking screwed are we if we can't move anything with trucks or with barges?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the water issue too, as well. I mean, I really think that we need to get a hold of this situation. We need to get real assessments. We need to, I mean, not when it just comes to just, the water within our, rivers and our lakes. And
Look at Vegas. I'm always reporting on Mead and Powell and Flaming Gorge.
Yeah. I mean, we need real assessments, and then we need real solutions. And that's what we're nowhere near any of that. I mean, they just sent over how many more $1 million did Lloyd Austin talk about the other day? Close to $1 billion again, sending over the freaking. Meanwhile, in Mississippi, we still have the same problems with the waters over there that just been, nobody's doing anything about. We really do need to get this problem fixed when it comes to our water across the board, because you can go days without food and you can be okay, but you can't go days without water. This is our lifeline over here.
I feel like they're intentionally not telling us how bad the water supply really is in the United States. I mean, we have reports of it's tainted here and it's tainted there and it's drying up here and it's drying up there. But these municipal power companies, they don't want you knowing how bad the water situation is because they need it to generate power. That's part of what's going on with Lake Powell is they're stealing water from Flaming Gorge, or they're getting water from Flaming Gorge to power, the people that are getting power from Lake Powell, which is actually taking water from Lake Mead too.
It seems like it's all part of the controlled demolition, right? It's one.
Thank you.
We got water, the situation. We were talking about the diesel fuel, right? We're running low on diesel fuel. We got 25 days left and shit. Well, when that happens, because everybody uses diesel, and when the diesel,
whether you know it or not,
we are screwed. We talk about not being able to move shit around. Okay, so now you got problems with energy. We're out of diesel. Things are bad. Now the water situation, compile that on top. That's going on. What about the food situation, right? All these, we talked about how many of these
food processing plants,
burnt down to the ground, right? And we don't grow our own food anymore. I mean, some people are starting to get a little creative and get a little trailer park punditry and start doing that garden and stuff.
Right.
But we're a little bit way behind the eight ball on this, and it seems like all this is coming together at one time, like a nexus.
It is the perfect fucking storm to destroy us. It's coming from every level.
Right? It's Lord of the Flies time for everybody. Hey, listen, I can cook. I'm going to say that again to anybody out there who wants to keep me safe.
I can cook too. I can cook too. And I can grow stuff.
And we can grow stuff. We can work together. Keep us alive during the zombie apocalypse. We'll keep you alive.
Well, can I tell you that this spring, the weather was so weird and so not normal for our area, Pasta, that most of my starts would not go. It didn't get warm in the far northwest until the end of June. And here we are in October and it is sweltering warm every day. That's not normal for us. Normally this is the rainy season. We haven't had rain in 4 months in the Pacific Northwest. I live on the edge of the rainforest and we haven't had rain in 4 months. I mean, this is not usual. And they're saying that it's going to persist. So just saying, oh, go out and grow your own stuff. I mean, it's changing. I tried to grow my own things this year and things were smaller. They didn't want to grow. Tomatoes didn't want to pollinate. I mean,
well, we haven't even talked about the fact is now that pretty much with the Biden administration, they pretty much admitted the other day that geoengineering exists, that they want to advance these programs.
But we're crazy. I've been screaming about chemtrails.
I listen. I knew you knew about this. I couldn't wait. I got to talk about this with Shanta. Like, they pretty much admitted, like we were reading off the article, what they're pushing forward. Like, this sounds like chemtrails. This sounds like, aerosols in the air to help cool the planet. That's what it's cloud seeding because we got to make it rain in Dubai. It's cooling mechanisms because it's too hot because of global warming. They're screwing with our ozone layer, which is also a reason why probably we can't grow the vegetables and the gardens we used to, because nobody's even factoring it in. And every day they're playing tic-tac-toe out there.
It's hard enough to not get genetically modified seeds. I mean, you're doing everything you can to get an organic seed because genetically modified seeds don't reproduce. You can't, they're a one-time shot mostly.
and fucking the whole Monsanto scam on that when they're suing people for growing stuff and saying we have a patent on this seed, well they pollinate your shit, steal your shit. Listen, vegan, yes, but when shit hits the roof, when shit hits the ground or where it hits the
fan,
fan, wherever it hits, because it's gonna hit everywhere, floor, ground, fan, and we can't grow vegetables. We have to really legitimately eat the rich. So
yeah, okay. I don't know. I might become a vegan then if that's the case. So one more little quick story, and then
Nancy Pelosi over here, pal.
Yeah, you're eating Pelosi. She looks like she might be pickled with vodka.
They've got the bad adrenochrome. We can't even eat them now.
Oh, well, that's what the shakes, right? Have you ever seen there was a tribe that did a lot of cannibalism and they suffered from this neurological shaking disease, and scientists said it had to do with the cannibalism. So a lot of times the shakes might be the adrenochrome. I'm not sure. So I'm going to give you one more story and then we're going to get on to gabapentin because I know a lot of people are hanging out to hear that story. So Boston area woman 55 unleashes a swarm of bees on a sheriff's deputy who was there to evict her.
Nice.
That's what it's coming down to, guys.
That's awesome, dude. He comes in, he's just walking around there. It's like the priest from freaking The Exorcist. Oh no, it's The Exorcist. No, it's not. It's the Amityville Horror House.
Amityville Horror.
I'm from Amityville. The priest walks in and there's a bunch of bees stinging him, and then he hears, "Get out!"
Yeah, get out. Exactly.
And he's like, and he dies. And people don't know if it was just hysterical from the bee stings or if it was a spirit telling him to get out. But yeah, that's what you got to do now.
So this is the reason we're here, guys. When I saw this meme yesterday, I was like, you know what? We need to talk about gabapentin. I was on gabapentin. So when you realize that Pfizer only paid $325 million for lying about gabapentin, and I want to point out two things. The amount is wrong. It was $430 million, and gabapentin is spelled with an A, not an O. But you know, they tried.
It was still less than the $965 million that he had to pay, and which his lawyer said, "Hey, man, they wanted to get you for $1 million. I saved you $35 million. They wanted to get you for $1 billion, and I saved
no, we've reduced it, right?
Yeah, right.
Poor
Look at the
Jones.
bright side of that, Alex.
God.
So what is gabapentin? Let's talk about this.
Okay, so let's get to gabapentin. I brought a little video on it, but okay, so gabapentin, they started really pushing it. It came out in 1974, and I brought little clips of what gabapentin is and why it came out and all that. But it was originally founded for neurological type issues, right? It's anti-seizure med is what it was originally marketed for. But then about 2008 or 9, there was a big push by Big Pharma for doctors to start prescribing it for pain treatment. So those of us that were on, pain treatment with opiates and somas and everything else, they added gabapentin to it. And my doctor went in, he was like, well, maybe we could start reducing your opiate levels by adding these gabapentins, because what gabapentin does is it heightens the sodium levels in your brain, is what he told me, basically. So I was thinking, it's like lithium, it's one of those it produces more neurons in your brain. So I went on it, and it gave me terrible heartburn right off the bat. And I did notice it the first couple of days that I was very, very dizzy. Like, whew, man, like I was spinning. But then after a week or so on it, I didn't even notice it anymore other than the heartburn. And I don't feel like it was doing any good for me. But here's the thing. I did so many other pharmaceuticals that I probably wouldn't even have felt it. You know what I'm saying? With all of the hardcore narcotics that I had on board. But I do know a lot of people that were on it. And so I want to watch this video real fast. Is gabapentin considered a painkiller? So some of these are going to blow your mind, Pasta. They're from Big Pharma themselves. And you'll just catch which ones are from Big Pharma.
You got it.
I'm going to mute, see if
Our goal is your satisfaction. Let us show you the way.
Is gabapentin considered a painkiller? Gabapentin, also known by the brand name Neurontin, is a prescription painkiller belonging to its own drug class, gabapentinoids. It is considered an anticonvulsant, and is most commonly used to treat epilepsy, restless leg syndrome, hot flashes, and neuropathic pain. Does gabapentin heal nerve damage? Official answer: gabapentin is approved to treat the type of nerve pain, neuralgia, that results from nerve damage. Gabapentin is used to treat neuralgia caused by a herpes zoster viral infection, also known as shingles. This pain is called post-herpetic neuralgia, PHN, and it can be severe and chronic.
Okay, so that one, says that it's prescribed for pain killing, right?
Yeah. Well, for other things, right? Like there's a list of them, and it seems like an anti freak out drug of sort. What did they say? Gabapentinoids. It's its own kind of classification, comes from its own plant, I guess, and has its own reaction and whatnot. Or
well, okay, so it works on the neurons different than an opiate does. So an opiate would go in, and I always say, think of a neuron as a teacup, right? And you're trying to fill that cup. The way that gabapentin it's supposed to envelop it, right? So that way the nerve is calm. You have central nervous systems in your body. You have a couple of different hubs. Like there's a hub right here, right where your shoulder is, if you were going to pinch your shoulder. And I have talked to so many recovering addicts, opiate addicts, who that right there is so messed up. The signals that your brain is sending down to that nerve hub are so messed up. So the theory is, right, that they can calm the nerve hubs, your nerves, so that way you're not feeling as much pain. That's the goal. So check out this video. This is one of the big pharma videos. So much like opiates, there was a big push by big pharma to get this in every doctor's hands, so doctors could be prescribing it off-label, like they always want to.
Of course.
And of course, there was all kinds of bonuses and, try to get your people on gabapentin. I'm going to tell you, gabapentin in 2016 was the #1 prescribed pain medication, and they call it pain medication, in Ohio. So, 7 years ago, it had already taken over as the #1 pain medication, even though it's not even marketed as a pain medication.
It's so cynical. It's like they find something that might work, but they don't know, and it's like, oh, we can make a profit off this.
Yeah.
We're not. If we get held accountable, we'll just have to give a percentage of our profits. So the better we bullshit, the more of our profits we can hold on. But if we do get sniped, we'll still make a lot of money.
Bingo.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, bingo. So let's check out this stupid video from Big Pharma on how to say gabapentin and how to remember what it does.
Gabapentin is an anticonvulsant medication that is mostly used to treat nerve pain. In this mnemonic video, we'll cover important facts about gabapentin so you'll be ready come test day. It's garbage day and the garbage truck just pulled up outside to grab the garbage from this dumpster. The garbage man is trying to find a working pen, but he keeps finding dud after dud. He's throwing all these failed pens into the garbage. You can use the garbage and pens, or garbage pens, if you will, to help you remember the drug gabapentin. Get it? Garbage pen for gabapentin? Let's continue through the mnemonic to learn more about gabapentin's clinical uses and side effects. You know how the garbage trucks always slam the garbage cans back onto the ground after dumping the garbage? Well, this specific dumpster has been designed to protect itself from damage, with some big shocks to absorb the shaking impact. When the truck puts down this dumpster, it's smooth and quiet because of all the anti-shake shocks. Let these anti-shake shocks remind you that gabapentin is an anticonvulsant and can be used to treat seizures. Because these shocks here stop shaking, just like gabapentin stops shaking associated with seizures. Get it? Specifically, gabapentin is effective in treating partial seizures, but that actually isn't its most common clinical use, so let's talk about that next. What's taking the truck so long to dump the garbage full of pens? Looks like there's a sparking wire on the side of the truck, so the garbage man hopped out of the truck to document the problem. A frayed sparking wire is our recurring symbol for peripheral neuropathy, because nerves are kind of like wires, so frayed wires should remind you of damaged nerves, right? Gabapentin is used to treat peripheral neuropathy and other sources of nerve pain. This typically manifests as numbness, loss of sensation, or pain in the distal extremities. Now, let's move on to one major side effect of gabapentin. The garbage man
Just
is taking
one.
so long to find a working pen and fix the sparking wire that his partner has fallen asleep right there in the garbage truck. The sleeping partner can help you remember that gabapentin can cause drowsiness and sedation. Like with all medications that cause drowsiness, you'll want to warn the patient to avoid driving until they know how they are affected by gabapentin. You will also want to keep a close eye on your older patients because the sedative effects may place them at a higher risk for falls. All right, that's all for this mnemonic. Let's wrap up so we can get away from all this smelly garbage.
Okay, so that's what's marketed to doctors, Pasta, for them to remember and give to their patients. Now, there's a lot of studies now that are saying there's a lot of memory loss that's involved with giving gabapentin to the older communities. Now, I've worked in a lot of nursing homes, and they're always looking for drugs to sedate, quiet, calm
Absolutely.
the older population. And I want your take on, this marketing that they do to these doctors.
Well, listen, I worked, I had a pharmacy, I had a catering business in which our clients were pharmaceutical reps, and pharmaceutical reps would show up to the doctor's office, a lot of them in Cedars-Sinai. They had 15 to 20 nurses or whatever it is. We would always get the count. Listen, you got to show up here at 1:00. We're going to be selling our drugs. You got to show up with food for 15 people. And it's just more of the same, right? Like in none of these things do you ever hear about the side effects and what the negatives can be. So the marketing is still consistent with what it is. They're gonna say, listen, this is the problem. We have the solution. But they're not going to also, not only are they going to not talk about the side effects, they're not going to talk about other treatments in which they can use and whatnot. And they'll never point that out. And one of the reasons they can't talk about, from what I understand, is for a lot of people for seizures, a lot of people who have cerebral palsy and whatnot, use marijuana as treatment, right? And once again, they want to make sure that information is kept in wraps, and therefore they can do what they've normally done. And this is the pharmaceutical industry in a nutshell, because it fits here for the United States. Never, ever during this whole pandemic situation has anybody told you, let's look at your own health. And it was an article today. They never said eat yogurt, take walks, maybe swim.
Vitamin D, get some exercise.
None of that shit, Chanda. None of it. Smoothies, no.
We don't do preventative in Western medicine. Never.
It's battlefield. When you're sick, come to us. We'll give you something to make you feel better. That's how it works. That's how it's going to continue to work. That's why it was kind of clever, this whole commercial they made and whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
So I love doing shows with you, because that was the perfect setup for why I named this show Gabapentin versus Cannabis, right? So cannabis started to become legal in 2013 in the States, for state Colorado, right? Yeah. Well, right around the same time, Big Pharma goes, oh shit, lots of people are going to start taking medicinal marijuana to help them with these things. So we've got to come up with something that we can push right at the same time that they're really rolling gabapentin out for off-brand usage. But it came back to bite them in the ass via a huge lawsuit against Pfizer.
Yeah. And I'm sure it will be. Look, somebody just got removed. Remember, they just had this little thing the other day, and Pfizer was having a little town hall meeting in New York. I don't know if we put it up there and you saw it. Steve entitled it "Bear Slaps Away Like Fox or Seal" or something, because this guy stands up in a Pfizer meeting, doesn't let her finish, and says, listen, you guys have been, you've had the biggest lawsuit for manipulating and lying to the public, $3.2 billion at one point. Why should we ever, in any way, shape, or form, ever believe you or anything you have to say? And you literally had somebody from the public stand up to go up and get in this guy's face, and he kind of threw him down and whatnot. But I mean, these are questions that need to be asked each time, and people don't ask them. People are married to, and we've talked about this before, Chanda, part of that white population in the United States is kind of programmed to believe their doctor. And they
I was
right. Yeah, it's a white person thing.
It is. My mom was a doctor, was a nurse. So, here, take this pill for this, take this for that, use that. And every time something was wrong with me, even mentally, I was like, oh, I got to go to a doctor and they'll give me something and I won't question what it is. I will just take it. And then I found myself doing that until I was about 37, 38, and I was completely wrecked. I was on benzos. I was on somas. I was on the biggest dose of opiates that you can get. I was on antidepressants. I was just taking it all. Just give it to me. Fix me, fix me, fix me. And then I realized nothing I'm taking is going to fix me. And I have to quit everything and start figuring it out for myself. And I am healthier now than I had ever been in my adult life. I mean, now that I have taken control of it, I don't run to a doctor every time I feel like something's wrong to get something from Big Pharma. It's really wakened me up to what I was doing to myself and how these drugs, they're not tested. I mean, you guys have brought the reports. We've brought the reports. I mean, who does the chemical testing on these medications? Not FDA. The FDA doesn't test shit, guys. They just take the reports from Big Pharma themselves and go, oh, Pfizer says this is what it is, so this is what we're approving.
It's like the lawmakers don't write the laws. The lobbyists write the laws, give them over to the lawmakers, and they put them into play, right? And that's the same thing that happens when it comes to healthcare. FDA is not doing the test, and they're completely bought off entity, right? Corporate entity.
Like the EPA. They don't
I mean,
shit.
it's all fucking such a crock of shit. They're compromised, bought off by big corporations. So I mean, here comes the Big Pharma. Hey, we did these tests. Go ahead and push these things through, and FDA pretty much. I mean, nothing's more evident when you have Scott Gottlieb leaving the FDA and going to Pfizer, right?
I know, right? We've talked
Pfizer to the
about
FDA.
Gottlieb.
We always get mixed up. Can I get a share screen, by the way, or do you have something to play? Because I do want to play this. I think we played this on your show before.
I do have something, but if you want to share, I can drop it real fast.
Well, I mean, we talk about chemical imbalances and everything. I mean, I love this video. I think you brought this to my attention.
Okay, let's play this video real fast, and then we'll play yours. Okay, because this kind of wraps up the whole Big Pharma thing.
Gotcha.
Will there be another lawsuit against the makers of Gabapentin? In 2014, Pfizer agreed to pay $430 million and to plead guilty to criminal charges for illegally marketing Gabapentin for unapproved uses such as migraine headaches and pain. So history is repeating itself, right? Gabapentin is being treated as if it's the panacea for pain relief, but people are getting deathly ill on this medication. The elderly people have experienced severe memory loss since being on this drug. It's also important for you folks to know that the makers of Gabapentin donated an undisclosed amount of money to the CDC Foundation. It was certainly no surprise when the CDC published a pain guideline and they mentioned Gabapentin 33 times within the pain guideline. This was a well thought out plan, and now patients are suffering.
Okay.
Wow.
Isn't that shocking? They were paying off the CDC at the same damn time, Pasta.
It's not shocking. It's business as usual. Somebody out there, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching the show, somebody make me and Chanda a list of all the times each one of the major corporations, the pharmaceutical companies, got sued and how much they had to pay. $430 million for Gabapentin, $2.3 million for lying to the public. I mean, I'm sure if we flirt this list out there of every single time, because that's the question I ask people. I asked them
a good list. We need to make it.
So I said, listen, these companies that are pushing out the vaccine in which you're promoting, they have a criminal background. Why would you ever trust them on anything? Well, this is science, like the same answers that you get over here from the shit libs. Like this, you just really gave me this is science from a corporation.
It's not science. It's from a corporation that manufactures these pharmaceuticals. Where's the science coming from? Not the FDA.
Definitely not. This clip right here, you know what clip I'm talking about, right? This is my favorite clip. Let me play it. This is my favorite clip. You brought this to my attention. I've loved it. I played this for my mom. She couldn't believe it.
Ever. Before I was a Scientologist, I never agreed with psychiatry. And then when I started studying the history of psychiatry, I started realizing more and more why I didn't agree with psychiatry. And as far as the Brooke Shields thing is, look, you got to understand, I really care about Brooke Shields. I think here's a wonderful and talented woman. And I want to see her do well. And I know that psychiatry is a pseudoscience.
But Tom, if she said that this particular thing helped
her feel better, whether it was the antidepressant or going to a counselor or a psychiatrist. Isn't that enough?
Matt, you have to understand this. Here we are today, where I talk out against drugs and psychiatric abuses of electric shocking people, okay, against their will, of drugging children with them not knowing the effects of these drugs. Do you know what Adderall is? Do you know Ritalin? Do you know now that Ritalin is a street drug? Do you understand that?
The difference is, this was
no,
not
Matt,
against
Matt,
her
I'm
will,
ask-
though.
Matt,
But
I'm
this
ask-
wasn't
Matt, I'm
against
asking you a
Brooke's will.
question. Matt, I'm asking you a question.
I understand there's abuse of all of these things.
No, you see, here's the problem. You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do.
Aren't there examples, and might not Brooke Shields be an example of someone who benefited from one of those drugs?
All it does is mask the problem, Matt. And if you understand the history of it, it masks the problem. That's what it does. That's all it does. You're not getting to the reason why. There is no such thing as a chemical imbalance.
So
in a body.
postpartum depression to you is
Matt,
kind of a little psychological gobbledygook?
No, I did not say that.
I'm just asking, what would you call it?
Matt, that is the post. Now you're talking about two different things.
But that's what she went on the antidepressant for.
But what happens, the antidepressant, all it does is mask the problem. There's ways of vitamins and through exercise and various things. I'm not saying that that isn't real. That's not what I'm saying. That's an alteration of what I'm saying. I'm saying that drugs aren't the answer, that these drugs are very dangerous. They're mind-altering, antipsychotic drugs. And there are ways of doing it without that so that we don't end up in a brave new world. The thing that I'm saying about Brooke is that there's misinformation, okay? And she doesn't understand the history of psychiatry. She doesn't understand in the same way that you don't understand it, man.
But a little bit what you're saying, Tom, is you say you want people to do well, but you want them to do well by taking the road that you approve of, as opposed to a road that may work for them.
No, I'm not.
Well, if antidepressants work for Brooke Shields, why isn't that okay?
I disagree with it. And I think that there's a higher and better quality of life. And I think that promoting, for me personally, so you're saying, what, I can't discuss what I want to discuss?
No, you absolutely
I know,
can.
But Matt, you're going in and saying that I can't discuss that.
I'm only asking, isn't there a possibility that, do you examine the possibility that these things do work for some people? That yes, there are abuses. And yes, maybe they've gone too far in certain areas. Maybe there are too many kids on Ritalin. Maybe electric shock is...
kids on Ritalin?
I'm just saying, but aren't there examples where it works?
Matt, you don't even, you're glib. You don't even know what Ritalin is. If you start talking about chemical imbalance, you have to evaluate and read the research papers on how they came up with these theories, Matt. Okay, that's what I've done. And you go and you say, where's the medical test? Where's the blood test that says how much Ritalin you're supposed to get?
It's very impressive to listen to you because clearly you've done the homework and you know the subject.
And you should. And you should do that also because just knowing people who are on Ritalin isn't enough. You should be a little bit more responsible in knowing.
I'm not prescribing Ritalin, Tom, and I'm not asking anyone else to do it.
Well, you are. You're saying no.
I know some people who seem to have been.
Tom needs a value.
But you're saying, but it's this is a very important issue.
I couldn't agree more.
And you know what? And you're here on the Today Show,
right?
And to talk about it in a way of saying, well, isn't it okay, and being reasonable about it when you don't know, and I do. I think that you should be a little bit more responsible in knowing what it is, because you communicate.
Calm down,
You're
Kanye.
now telling me that your experiences with the people I know, which are zero, are more important than my experiences.
What do you mean by that?
You're telling me what's worked for people I know or hasn't worked for people I know, and I'm telling you I've lived with these people, and they're better.
So you're advocating it.
I am not. I'm telling you, in their case, in their individual case, it worked. I am not going to go out and say, get your kids on Ritalin, it's the cure-all and the end-all.
Matt, but here's the point. What is an ideal scene in life? Okay? Ideal scene is someone not having to take antipsychotic drugs.
I would agree.
Okay, so now you look at it and you go, okay, a departure from that ideal scene is someone taking drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you go, okay, what is the theory and the science behind that justifies that?
Let me take this more general, because I think you and I
Al
can go
Lauer's
around
a
in
big
circles
pharma
on this for a
salesman.
while, and I respect your opinion on it. Do you want more people to understand Scientology? Would that be a goal of yours?
You know what? Absolutely, of course. You know,
how do you go about that?
You just communicate about it, and the important thing is, like you and I talk about it, whether it's, look, if I want to know something, I go and find out, because I don't talk about things that I don't understand. I'll say, you know what? I'm not so sure about that. I'll go find more information about it so I can come to an opinion based on on the information that I have.
You're so passionate about it. And
I'm passionate about learning. I'm passionate about life, Matt.
I love
He's
that.
just passionate.
Yeah. I love that video too, because I think you're a person who can speak to that there are other ways of treating illnesses. And when it comes to mental situations, he keeps saying that it masks the problem. It masks the problem. It doesn't get down to the root of the
It did
problem.
for me.
Well, tell me about that, because I think a lot of people have to understand the fact is a lot of people out there, they go to psychologists, they're still trying to find the right chemical balance. And they go to all these, I'm going to send you to this doctor to make sure you're in balance. We have to find the right chemical balance. But you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater when you and Tom Cruise agree to each other. It's like, hey, this is just
I don't agree with Tom Cruise very often.
Not often. But in this situation, would you? And isn't that the way to really solve the problem, is to get to the root of the issue? I mean, we're always talking about the root of the issue. My whole existence when it comes to elections, right, is the root of the problem, right? We need to fix the actual mechanism which we pick our civil servants. When we talk about foreign policy and migration, let's talk about our foreign policy, because that's the root of the problem. They wouldn't be coming here if we're not involved in getting into our foreign policy. So the root of the problem here, what is it, and how do we fix it? Because he's also saying that he doesn't believe in psychiatry of sorts, that he believes.
Well, that's a teaching of Scientology. And I go after Scientology a lot on my channel because I think they're a fucking multi-level marketing cult that needs to be called out. But I do believe that their teaching on psychiatry is right. I mean, most of our psychiatry is based in studies from assholes like Sigmund Freud, what we've been taught over the last, or what we think we've learned over the last 125 years about psychiatry has been driven by big pharma and by some of the worst Dr. Gottlieb, not the Gottlieb FBI or FDA, but there's another Gottlieb that we were talking about. I mean, that works in psychiatric. Lobotomies and shock therapy, and I mean, just the horrible shit that we have done in the quest to understand mental illness in the last 100 years is atrocious. But now remember that they just came out 2 weeks ago and announced that there's no such thing as a chemical imbalance. This is coming from the actual medical professional field saying, okay, we effed up, guys. Turns out there isn't actually a chemical imbalance, and nothing we give you is actually going to fix that. So they're finally starting to admit that. So Tom had that right. And another point I wanted to bring up real fast was Adderall shortages. Tom talks about Adderall and Ritalin a lot in that interview, and that's a really old interview. But do you know that we have shortages of Adderall and Ritalin in this country right now? Because for every one script that's wrote, there's 2 people taking Adderall or Ritalin. So this is a very highly abused drug. But to get back to Gabapentin and your question to me about how would I know? You're right. How would I know? Because I just took anything that my doctors gave me. Oh, here's an experimental drug that was approved last week. Go ahead and try it. Well, now that I've been off of big pharma long enough, I can start to see which ones damaged me. And you've seen me firsthand. I shake. I'm very fidgety because I'm trying to mask the fact that I shake like a whore in church, right? and you've seen this, like when I go to give a speech in front of somebody, shit, you had to hold the bullhorn for me last time because I shake so bad. And that isn't because of nerves. I'm not nervous to be there. It's because I fried my nervous system with all of these drugs. And when I was studying Gabapentin this week, I had a moment where I was like, is this what caused me to be so shaky? Was it my years of taking the highest dose of Gabapentin that I could get and probably abusing it and taking more than I should have? Is that what led to this uncontrollable shake that, I have now? So yeah, you just don't know. I don't know. I don't know the damage I did to myself with these drugs. And I know there's a lot of people out there that use it and that it helps them. If it helps you, great. But I think that ethical wise, the way that the FDA has allowed big pharma to make this the number one drug under pretenses that it's for fucking pain control is a straight up lie.
I think there's so many parallels to our society when you talk about these things, because there's somebody who watches our show, good friend of the show, and she's awesome. And she takes opioids because she has these migraines that are so bad.
A lot of people have to. Yeah.
So, they have to. So it's always hard to, I'm saying. However, I think that the way they're sold, though. They're sold to everybody, not sold just to
That's what I'm
those
saying.
people. You know, it's not like a situation where it's like, all right, we're gonna reserve these and only give these to the people in society who really need them. They're thrusted upon everybody. They're turning everybody into an addict, right? Because they want that money. They see the dollar sign because they don't give a shit about your life and they don't care about your life. But in our healthcare system is also like this across the board when it comes to our food, when it comes to our healthcare. There's nothing preventative. There's nothing about eating healthy. There's nothing about taking control of your own life. It's always just when you get sick, after you consume. There's a million fast food restaurants out here that are open right now that can get whatever.
I'm hungry. Why are you telling me that?
I'm hungry too as well. I'm intermittent fasting. But the point is that there's all these other healthy and unhealthy options out there. The majority of the options out there are unhealthy. So they push you into a system in which that, you know what I'm saying, they want you to fall into because they want a full-time addicted patient. You know what I'm saying? They want you unhealthy.
They want customers. They're customers.
Exactly, customers. And the whole system is set up because they run so much of this goddamn country, big pharma, that you're going to be a constant. You'll have no choice but to be a customer at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
You're putting poison in your body every step of the way.
Okay, so I got 2 more videos for this section. Let me see. Get it reloaded. Here we go. So this is some of the side effects that people are starting to have because of gabapentin.
We begin this half hour with a News Channel 5 exclusive.
A warning tonight to doctors and pharmacists about a drug they have handed out for years that is now being used for a new purpose.
The CDC says this drug is a safe alternative to opioids, but not everybody agrees.
Let's bring in News Channel 5's Michelle Casada tonight.
Doctors commonly prescribe gabapentin to treat nerve pain, and some offer it to help manage pain. There's the rub. Gabapentin's much easier to get now that Florida law restricts the use of opioids. Doctors gave Greg Fishman gabapentin after he had hip replacement surgery. They prescribed this drug so he would not rely on traditional painkillers or opioids while recovering. But
I started getting tremors, hand tremors. I had terrible emotional swings, terrible. And they went on for a long time.
So he told his doctor he wanted off gabapentin, but he could only do so slowly, 400 milligrams at a time.
It had effects on my life that were, if I wasn't in reasonably good shape, it could have been a normal person probably would have taken their own life.
Fishman told me it took him 6 months to come off gabapentin, and he still suffers cramps in his hands.
They never told me that I would have to be weaned off it.
Fishman's story does not surprise Sharon Krim, a case manager for Martin County Health and Human Services. She worries about potential abuse.
The drug using community is starting to realize that gabapentin helps with pain and that you can get high from it.
Krim fears gabapentin is too easy to get. She worries addicts will use the drug in combination with fentanyl or other narcotics to find the same high they would on opiates.
If you take too much of it, you can OD. And then if you go down to a lower dose, you can crash.
The Palm Beach County Substance Awareness Coalition told me they share Martin County's concerns about gabapentin. The sober home community goes one step further, calling on the federal government to reclassify gabapentin as a controlled substance.
Okay, so Pasta, it has been reclassified in some states to be Schedule 1 up there with heroin and opiates and everything else.
After they gave fucking Pez.
After they gave it out like Pez, just like they did with oxycodone, right? They gave everybody Percocet and Vicodin. Yeah, and now they came in, and I remember my doctor introducing this to me like, okay, well, you're already on, I was on Coumadin, and what was that? There's another one. I think it's not Coumadin. That's Warfarin. That's
odd though, Chanda, that it's the same textbook. Like what I thought with the whole, boop situations, like, man, they're really rushing it along. This is unusual. No, every single time we go down a story, it seems like, oh, they're rescheduling it because they put the shit out there without knowing you could do because they can make a profit off it.
Because they don't study it.
Yeah.
Do you think that, okay, so the FDA takes their reports from Big Pharma when they're approving a drug. So basically they go to the manufacturer and say, what do you know about this drug? And the Pfizer, Moderna, they go, oh, here's our studies. We know those studies are doctored. We know they're falsified. They just make the study look good for the FDA. So the FDA goes, oh, well, look, they tested it, so it's safe. I mean, they buy these drugs way in. They buy the path for them and they get freaking rich off of them. I mean, if Pfizer had to pay $430 million on this, what did they make? 10 billion? 20 billion?
No shit.
They're still profiting. Believe me, they didn't take a loss.
No, I know. Like we said, once they can put something out there so irresponsibly, because they're not going to have to pay a price. They're just going to have to give a percentage of their profits away. And it just seems like right now the game is like, let's see how much we can hide or how much we can get away with. So we give away as least amount of our profits as possible. That's right. Not making a profit. Let's just give away. But when they sue us, and we will get sued because we could be irresponsible with any drug out there right now because people are stupid and they're going to allow this to happen. And you still have shit libs and progressives in the streets parroting CDC and WHO and WEF talking points, Pfizer talking points.
You do believe, you do understand that the CDC is owned by Big Pharma. They have been captured and owned for many years.
This is science.
Science. Okay, so I brought one more video of side effects that I want people to be aware of that are taking gabapentin, because some of these I didn't even know. So it really can affect your life in a lot of different ways. So let's just watch this quick video. And this is another Big Pharma video, I think. Look for it.
Look at that smile.
Take our lead. Let's help you make your mark. Our goal is your satisfaction. Let us show you the way.
Gabapentin can produce feelings of relaxation, calmness, and euphoria. Some users have reported that the high from snorted gabapentin can be similar to taking a stimulant. It can also enhance the euphoric effects of other drugs, like heroin and other opioids, and is likely to increase the risks when taken in this way.
Make your mark, take our lead.
Gabapentin is used off-label to treat anxiety. Xanax belongs to a different drug class called benzodiazepines, and is used primarily to treat anxiety disorders and panic attacks. Brand names for gabapentin include Neurontin, Horizont, and Grelise.
Take our lead.
The surgery group given prophylactic gabapentin had 68.5% less weight loss than the untreated group, 2.40 kilograms versus 7.63 kilograms.
Yeah, they're giving it out for weight loss.
O2 and the P16 positive group receiving prophylactic gabapentin showed 60% less weight loss than their untreated counterparts, 3.61 kilograms versus 9.02 kilograms. P equals 0.004.
Make your mark, take our lead.
According to an article in the American Journal of Psychiatry, both men and women may lose the ability to orgasm after taking gabapentin. However, only women have also reported experiencing a lack of libido. A more recent study confirms this possible side effect at doses of only 300 milligrams per day.
Okay, so two things I want to point out in that. I've never heard of anybody snorting gabapentin. That's crazy. To each their own. I'm not judging because God knows I snorted my years of pharmaceuticals. That was my preferred method.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
the fact that they're prescribing this for weight loss and saying that you lose weight, I've never met anybody who has lost weight on gabapentin. Quite the opposite. Everybody I know gained about 20 pounds. And then the fact that it takes away your ability to orgasm. I mean, are these things that doctors are actually telling people when they're prescribing it to them?
Well, they don't want to have, if they say if that they have to cover their own ass. And I like the way they said it, except it's only women who experience a little loss in libido. Men, you're okay.
Yeah, don't worry about that because we got you with the, all the other pills that we can prescribe. Uh, these drugs, any and all of these can be abused. Shelly, I know I've been in a gabapentin blackout. I mean, I used to mix gabapentin with somas and benzoids, and of course a shit ton of opiates. I had methadone and I had oxycodone, and so there was times where literally I would just black out beyond the floor. I mean, I call it a soma coma, but yeah, I mean, I didn't know if I was coming or going. They had me so messed up.
Jesus.
So I just worry that people don't know the effects of this drug, just how prevalent it's being passed out to people. Just since I put this card up, I've had like 5 people reach out to me, go, "Oh my God, I'm on gabapentin too." And, I'm not saying it didn't work. I took it. I took it for like a year and a half. At points I did think it was working for me. If it's working for you, great.
Define what work means. It worked. Like, what did it work? I mean, nothing really
It convinced me that I was getting better or doing better, or that I was
until you had the
functioning.
realization that you needed to cleanse yourself of all this stuff. I think when you got truly better is when you got off everything and you got rid of the masking of everything and handled everything head on. I mean, we just have a society right now, like where we talked about from show number 1, is that they just put shit in your hands. Take this, you'll feel better. Take this, you'll feel
never better. Deal with the trauma, the childhood trauma. Never deal with the, lack of community or connection. I mean, there's so many things that lead us into addictive behaviors that we don't even deal with mental health in this country anymore. I just saw a report that our local state medical mental health facility, which is Western State, is being fined to the tune of billions of dollars because they're leaving people in jail that need mental health treatment, but they don't have any facilities to put them in. We shut all of the facilities down years ago in the United States, and we're not looking at reopening or even helping. I mean, we know that's part of our homelessness or our homeless problem, right?
I think that at the end of the day, that no matter what we have to do, we always have to look at the root cause of the problem, right? Like if we want to get better mentally, healthily, physically, like it's always got to look at the root problem, right? Like, from every single subject that we look at, when we talk about, where are these laws or these rules coming from? I mean, Amber's great about these things. Let's go talk about what the World Economic Forum, who's handing these things down, the Bank of International Settlements, all these things. We go
Whitney's
to
great with that. Yeah.
We go to the root, right? So when it comes to your mental health, what's the root of the problems? Tom Cruise talked about we're masking situations. A lot of it has to deal with your physical health. The way you treat yourself physically affects the way you are mentally, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I love this show because we all get so honest about what we've done, right? About what we used to take and how we used to take it. And I love that we can have that conversation with our community. I just appreciate you guys coming in, telling us your stories, and just so we can relate. It's all about information, Pasta, getting the information out there and talking with each other. So
yeah, I think providing the space, providing the space to talk about these things, to say these things is important. And especially with this show, To Hell and Back was one of those situations where, it was a small crowd, but it was a crowd that had a different understanding, who had been to hell and back, and it was
so
good
many
to
of us have.
hear those stories, because at the end of the day, it's almost like Requiem for a Dream. Anything can be addicting. Anything can be like a problem.
Anything,
how you look at it, how you handle it, and where your mind's coming. You get to the root of the problems, you can fix a lot of things. And that's
so. What is the root of my cheese addiction?
Cows.
Cows is the root of my cheese addiction. I swear, since I gave up everything, cheese is the only thing I'm addicted to anymore.
Cheese, the thing about cheese is not just about taste; it's also about texture. So it's the texture.
You're right. It's the creamy texture that comforts me.
If you want to get away from cheese, you got to find something that masks that texture. The only thing that from a vegan or a plant point,
avocado.
Avocado. Well, that's the thing. In a lot of situations, when people would make sandwiches, they would make it with avocado or cheese because it was almost a similar texture, so you can get away with it. So yes, avocado if you want to move in that direction. Nut cheeses if you want to move in that direction. But really, to tell the truth, when it comes to cheese, the thing you're addicted to most is the texture, the feel in your gums and your teeth when you bite into it. Yeah, some of those flavors I love provolone, right? So I had to get away from provolone being a vegan.
Oh, I love me provolone.
But, I know, right? The one that smells like toast.
Oh, yeah.
Sharp ass provolone. So I did like that, but it was always the texture of cheese. So in your mind, if you can somehow say, I have to go something that is matching in texture, and maybe that will settle my craving. Maybe I can trick my brain that way. I don't know.
Maybe.
That's
So we have to talk a little bit about cannabis, because I did put cannabis in this compared to, and I am an avid cannabis user.
I'm gonna get some of that right after the show.
I haven't hit any today because it's morning, but
As soon as we're done, I'm going down there to go. I'm gonna treat myself.
When marijuana became legal in Washington State was right around the same time that I quit opiates and I moved to kratom. And like I always say, I don't advocate for anybody to use kratom, unless you're already in an addictive place where it's going to help you, not make you worse, because I do believe that kratom is addictive. But every day when I have to do a dose of kratom, and I hate doing it, it's like, oh, why do I got to keep taking this shit? But I remind myself of all of the years that I have been given that I didn't have before, just sitting here having this conversation with you in this studio with what I have. I didn't have 10 years ago, Pasta, when I was so addicted that I couldn't hold a job. I couldn't even dress myself. I mean, just taking a shower, getting dressed and putting my shoes on was the biggest chore of the damn day. And most days it didn't happen. So, because people talked about it, because other people talked about kratom, I found that answer. I got myself better, and I'm here every day. I'm thankful that I'm here to have another day to spend with you guys, to spend with my family. I would have never had these things had I continued down the road with opiates, because I would have eventually OD'd. I would have got into fentanyl. I would have got into heroin. I just know that's what my progression would be. So it's so important that we're able to talk about these things.
I'm glad.
I brought a little story about Circle K going corporate marijuana. And if you live in Florida, good news. If you got a Circle K, you might have some marijuana close to you. Yes, I swear. This is crazy.
Some Cheetos, a Coca-Cola, and some marijuana.
I need some sticky wicked. Here we go.
Coming soon to a Circle K gas station near you, medical marijuana. Here's Channel 8's Trevor Sahaki outside one of the gas stations tonight. And Trevor, just to be clear here, the marijuana won't be sold inside the gas station beside the snacks and the cigarettes. It's going to be next door, right?
That is correct, Keith. It is going to be next door. We're going to show you a picture really quickly coming up soon. But, Circle K is saying that they're teaming up with Green Thumb Industries in hopes of making medical marijuana more common and acceptable around, but others see it as dangerous. Circle K is getting into the medical marijuana business. The convenience store retailer is teaming up with Green Thumb Industries to put dispensaries next to stores in about 10 different Florida locations. The stores will be called Rise Express after Green Thumb's Rise dispensaries. In a statement, Green Thumb founder Ben Kovler said the new Rise Express model is a huge step forward in making it easier and more efficient for patients to purchase high-quality cannabis. There are about 600 Circle Ks in Florida. The Rise Express stores will have various marijuana products from the company's facility in Ocala. Kovler says convenience is a strong channel in retail and people want more access to cannabis. But not everyone thinks that's a good idea.
I was shocked when I first heard about it. I was really surprised.
Kevin Sabet is the CEO of Smart Approaches to Marijuana.
The idea that we'd want to make it easier for, a 22-year-old with a headache who has a medical card to get marijuana while they're, getting, filling up on gas and about to drive. Really makes no sense.
He said his group plans on appealing the decision to Governor Ron DeSantis and the federal government.
I was really surprised that they would even entertain the idea that it would be a good idea to, while someone's on the road, to essentially encourage stone driving. I just was really surprised.
How is it encouraging? All right.
Go. How crazy was that?
It's really done. Well, first off, I just like to say that once again, getting distracted by the fact that Green Thumb Industries is a New York Stock Exchange traded corporation once again. So here you are teaming up with big pharma and corporate marijuana, which is ruined
big cannabis is what it is.
Ruined everything. Everything. That's who's behind the closed doors of this situation. So for me, at the end of the day, it's just a lot of noise in which at the end of the day, it's going to be held by big cannabis, big pharma, big marijuana companies. And that's what really sucks. Of course, I think it's a great idea that you team up with Circle K if you're Green Thumb Industries. You'll have locations. They'll build little outlets for you to go in there and get your weed. And secondly, what's the dude talking about? Like the laws will be you can't go and smoke it. It's like the same thing when you buy a beer from a Circle K.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to go and start cracking it and drinking and driving it. Same thing with the marijuana. You can't just start smoking it. You have to go, You have to keep it concealed and go to a location and area and whatnot. So I think it's a lot of talk from really them just trying to disguise that they're going to hand it over to big marijuana anyways.
Yeah, this whole point that, oh my God, they're going to drive. That's just crazy. We sell alcohol in stores every day. People have to get there some way, one way or another to get there. That's just Republican fear porning. And this is why I left the marijuana industry. You know, in 2017, 2018, I was managing a marijuana store. And what I saw was corporate America, corporate weed coming in and crushing the small dispensaries. You know, when we the voters passed marijuana in Washington state, we wanted that revenue, that money to support small growers. So we had small little co-op growers, you know, and to go to our schools, our roads, our whatnot. And that's not what's happened with legal marijuana. We have dumped all that money straight into the general fund in Washington state. We're buying cops really super nice tanks now, you know, shit like that. We're not actually doing anything but corporatizing marijuana. And we see that because all of the small stores, we only have so many licenses allowed in Washington state. And so everybody fights for those licenses. Well, what's happened is corporate America's came in and captured those licenses. And if you're a small mom and pop, they're coming for your license. And I've seen it, you know, because I live rural.
Yeah, they did in California. Pretty much with the new recreational law, they allowed the cities to go through their city councils to decide on how many pharmacies they want and have them and whatnot. So they would now go in, reel in all the small people, close them down, and let big corporation, big cannabis come in. They're doing that in Pasadena.
They're doing it everywhere in Washington.
Doing it everywhere. They're gonna crush the small guy, and now the big marijuana companies like Green Thumb Industries are going to control everything, whether it be in Florida, California, Washington, or wherever.
Well, much like when you're grocery shopping, know what you're buying, guys. I've had the luxury of personally meeting most of the farms in Washington state, meeting the reps, meeting the owners and the growers. So I know who's growing dirty weed and I know who's growing clean organic weed. Know that type of stuff. And I'm just going to tell you, the cleaner weed is not the stonier weed because it's all those goddamn pesticides and chemicals that are giving you that good high. I myself personally will buy corporate weed just because I know it's going to get me higher. So, be aware of these things and support the companies that are being ethical. We do have a couple of very ethical companies in Washington state. Soulshine is one of them. They donate so much to animals. Their packaging is all biodegradable. I mean, it's stuff like that we, the consumers, have to be aware of instead of supporting, who are some of these big names? Snoop Dogg, he's got a big weed company. Willie Nelson, his weed's one of the dirtiest from what the reports that I've seen, the lab reports. So just know what you're buying and don't support these corporate shitholes that are taking over.
I agree.
So I think that's the end of our Gabapentin cannabis segment. You guys have been great. Your guys' input was awesome. Did you want to talk about Save the Children?
No, we already talked about it. We already brought it up.
Okay.
It's getting
I know you've been in that chair since 7:00 this morning, so I'm probably going to let you go here. I just have one more thing I want to tell people about, and that is go check out the Real Anthony Fauci watch party that Brave New Future and Roar Media put up 2 nights ago. I believe there's going to be a second part on Rokfin. Go over to Rokfin. Yes, Amber did it on Tuesday night. It was awesome. Great documentary. I think that there's a second part. Is there a second part, guys? Tell me if there's a second part.
We need to do more of these. We need to have watch-alongs.
It was so much fun being in there with all the people. And she had like 50 people live watching, and for us on Rokfin, that's big.
Weird.
Yeah,
like I want to do them for membership stuff, like for subscribers, because they're like, I don't want to put anything behind a paywall. However, they're always saying like, well, if you do a subscribers only show, that really helps. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll just do watch-alongs of movies and stuff, and
Well, this one is so important. I mean, everything. As I was watching that, I had to comment in the chat the other day. I'm very proud of Roar. I'm very proud of Convo Couch and our network because we reported everything that was in that movie in real time. We were telling you as it was happening, the things that are now starting to come out. So it just makes me proud. It makes me proud of all of us for holding our ground, for taking it on the chin constantly and being told that we're conspiracy theorists and that we're salacious and, we're just trying to get clicks and we're crazy.
Now with the geoengineering, they really come full circle. It's like, all right, guys. And the thing that really just drives me crazy was like, and this is why I kind of like, the yay stuff. The Kanye.
I think I feel bad for Ye. I feel bad for Ye.
I do,
I've
but
said it.
like
I said it.
first of all, there's nothing he has said that Minister Farrakhan hasn't already said in a more eloquently professional manner and whatnot. I think a lot more proper,
right.
if you want to say. And secondly, with the whole banking situation, it shouldn't start with Kanye where you're going, oh my God, they're cutting him off from banking. And don't get me wrong, what more can they do to this dude?
Howard Stern wants him put in a conservatorship just like Britney Spears.
Yeah, Howard Stern can go to fucking hell. Him and his stupid beak nose and his hair. He's so annoying. He's Captain Irrelevant. Go away. You're a long but a memory. But it shouldn't start with Kanye. It should be ending. There have been so many people, because if they can do it to Kanye, they're doing it to the smaller people. There's a skit that Ryan Long does, and he does like he's the Ministry of Truth, and he's doing this whole thing, and he's like, we're going to silence people who are speaking out of line, who are telling lies. And then he's on the phone. He's like talking to like one of his bosses. And he's like, so the people that we suspended for speaking for misinformation, but now it's the truth. We're not going to let them back on, are we?
Yeah,
no,
never.
I didn't think so. We've been punished for this shit for so long. We've been getting, and it's not, I'm not saying, look at me, I'm a victim. I'm saying that all the little people have been victims out there. So many people have been censored. So many people have been demonetized. So many people have been shut down. Small people that can't afford and can't find their way around things. Kanye will be fine. He'll find a way.
Oh, he's got money. Yeah, he'll be fine.
We're scraping and scrapping every day from the same thing they did to Kanye that they've been doing us for years. And it's not just a conservative right-wing, left-wing thing. It's a dissenting voice across the board in the periphery. No matter where you're on the spectrum, if you're speaking out against the state, they'll shut you down, they'll silence you, and they'll starve you out. And that's what they've been doing to us for quite some time.
Yeah, they're trying to starve us out for sure. It's impossible to even keep this going. And it's because of you guys that we've kept the lights on and that we've managed to move around and get stories. And without you guys, independent media doesn't happen. So thank you to everybody that's been hanging out today. Pat the Batman fan, Yona, Jilly, Barbara, Gamer. You guys have been great. Jelly, Red Cloud, Rob. Of course, Jilly. Jilly is one of my editors of the show.
Aram, I bet you was hanging around. Aram always.
Oh yeah, Aram was over in the Rokfin.
Going, my man.
Oh, actually, I better shout somebody out because somebody dropped me a super ray over on the Rokfin. I'm gonna guess that was Aram. I'm looking. Who was it?
You can leave a super chat for you guys right now until they take it down again. So if you guys want to leave a super chat over on the YouTubes, do it before they take that away, because they will take that away.
I know. They're going to take it away. Yeah. I'm every day I wait for them to take it away from us, and that's fine. We'll set up other places. We don't rely on it. We appreciate it, but we don't rely. Aram, you are amazing. Without Aram, you are an executive producer for a lot of us, and we can't thank you enough. I mean, you keep us going. You keep the truth coming out.
Aram likes to be called a supporter.
I know, a supporter, not a producer.
We love
right?
you anyway, and we love everybody else. Listen, if you ain't got a few bucks in there, we understand this. It's harder now to leave money. We can understand this.
So much harder.
Jobs, it's tough. Backs are against the wall. Just do us a favor. Like and share.
Yeah, like and share helps us so much. Yeah, it kicks the algorithm in the ass. Just one more note before we head out. Update: Julian has tested negative. He is now out of 24-hour day isolation, and we'll be able to see Julian again on Thursday. Thank you for all your messages, and free Assange now, guys. We cannot let off. We cannot let up. We are all Assange. So, Pasta, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me today. And hopefully you'll be stopping by on Thursdays, and we'll just be doing this regularly.
I would love to do that, Chanda-Masta. You're the best. Thank you, Roar Media. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Oz. Thank you, everybody else out there. Thank you, Linda. Linda, we love you.
Oh, Linda's doing such a great job on the newsletter and the Women Independent Media. Yeah.
Hopefully that's working out for everybody and stuff. I think we're going to make that next move to the Substack. I know you guys had talked about it. I think that's the eventual move.
I hang out on Substack occasionally. Read me some Chris Hedges, a few others. So yeah, Substack's a good place.
James Rogoski's got the fire right now in the Substack, guys. Roguski, James, first name.
Yeah.
He was out in front when it came to ivermectin. He was out in front when it came to the international health regulations and the treaty. James has been there. I know he's my friend, but it's more than that. He's done amazing work. There's a reason why they took his website down. Weebly did after 10 years. They took his website away. So Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to join us for our Halloween party on October 29th, Saturday night? Of course, it's the Beauty and the Boomer big Halloween party, Pasta. You've been there 2 years in a row. You can't
I
miss
know the 29th, I'll be in Florida, in Orlando, talking an election integrity event. So I don't know if I'll be able to.
Of course you will.
But I will try. Yeah, I know. This is the American Project. Patrick Burns, what's his name? Flynn, the Flynn brothers, General Flynn and his brother.
Just dress up as an election integrity activist and show up.
Maybe I'll do that then.
Maybe you can do that.
Love you, Shanda. Thanks for having me.
I love you. You have a great day. Go get something to eat and get out of that chair for a while. And you guys join me and Oz Saturday for Beauty and the Boomer. It's going to be a good one coming into Halloween. And thanks so much for joining us. I'm going out with America's The Home of the Hypocrite, Violet Femmes, like always. Have a great day.
America is, America is, America is, America is, America is the home of the hypocrite. America is the home of the hypocrite. America is the home of the hypocrite. American dreams full of it. Look at the Indians, look at the blacks. Look at the figures. Look at the facts. Look at the facts. The facts, not the lies. And you'll find out. Big surprise. That America is the home of the hypocrite. America is the home of the hypocrite. America is the home of the hypocrite. American dreams are full of it. Indians, check out the blacks, then you check out the figures, then you check out the facts, check out some facts, check out the facts, not the lies, and you'll find out, it's a big surprise, it's like between the eyes, that America is the home of the hypocrite, America is the home of the hypocrite, America is the home of the hypocrite, American dreams, only dream. No desperation limit, no desperation level. Even though my nose don't work, I smell trouble, I smell trouble. No desperation limit, no desperation level. Murder, murder in the government. Say you're sorry. No desperation limit, no desperation level. Turn the key, turn the lock. Nationalism, you can suck my. No desperation limit, no desperation level. Watch how the world's progressing everywhere. Aggression, 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 aggression.